So it's January 2026. I want to finally get my thoughts on record, and then we can continue to review these ideas as the year progresses. I expect this information to remain fresh for a while. Use the information I'm going to present to make AI decisions and help others implement AI in a rational way. And then down the road, this video will serve as sort of a history lesson once the information in it becomes common and accepted knowledge. If you're considering AI projects this year, then this video is for you. The concept of this lecture is pretty simple. It's about probability versus certainty. After decades of working in AI, I want to offer you some certainty here. Everyone has an opinion on AI these days. There are gloomy ones, there are audaciously idealistic ones. For a moment here with me, we're not going to look at AI based on what it does, but based on what it is, technically, factually, not based on my opinion. And once we understand what it is, we can get past the hype, out of the denial of what it is not, and finally achieve many levels of universal business productivity, meaning AI will be both ubiquitous and drive value within the domains where AI is most suited for success. And after we discuss the hype, we can compare the reality. So why denial? I've asked this to folks, and a lot of times I get the answer that we're in denial because we're going to lose our jobs, or we're in denial because AI is here and we just aren't preparing for it. But no, I don't mean to say we're in denial about AI. In fact, I believe we are more afraid of it than we should be. We are in denial about our own abilities. We seem to be unaware of the complexity of the human mind and the body and the sensory organs and nervous system, in contrast to a binary circuit board based system. AI companies want you to believe the opposite. We are in denial about the future. We envision ourselves as not needed, and the AI marketing teams keep selling that to you. But it's nonsense. It's lies. Nothing indicates this future is coming other than our own imagination. I want to give you some reasons why not to listen to the hype machine saying AI is smarter than you. A lot of layoffs are happening, but it's not due to AI or better automation, generally speaking. It's due to business and economic factors. CEOs love to claim they are creating efficiency through staff reductions, and they have utterly misplaced their faith in AI tech, thanks to the AI hype machine. So they think they're safe by just blaming AI for the layoffs. That ruse will eventually become undone. In fact, historical patterns of the past show that when we're given a new tool, we simply become more productive and build even bigger things. We use those tools to build better tools and solve more complicated problems. AI is a tool, not a replacement. When the calculator was invented, we didn't stop doing math. We started doing calculus in high school. Why are so many CEOs confused? It's because people and companies they trusted as experts in the past, the people that sell solutions to big business problems, and who had a pretty decent track record, all started lying. If the CEO of Salesforce is saying he's replacing his workforce with AI, other CEOs pay attention. They don't know what AI truly is, but they have at least seen some of what it does. And what they have seen was impressive. So they believe these stories about its potential. The lies about its potential. They basically say that if you aren't getting value, you're not using it correctly. But they can't provide you with any rules or patterns that truly provide ROI. They promise real solutions. They promise predictable outcomes, but they don't provide the guidance, and we're not seeing those occur. Again, back to the layoffs. There's nothing inherently wrong with a company having layoffs because they're part of the business cycle. But AI being the culprit is simply not the case, and there's no concrete evidence that it's happening. If you've used AI and you think it can replace you, I assure you, you are probably in denial about your own value and your own ability to take ownership of problems, build on vague requirements or specifications, and deal with ambiguity. So do these confused CEOs want to eliminate all their staff and then assume ownership over every minor task done in their company? Human in the loop is still necessary for all of them. It's just that once the blood was in the water about what AI could potentially do, everyone wanted a bite. The sharks are circling, but thus far all they've found is blood. So Gartner studies industry, business, and technology patterns, and this is an old graphic from the 90s that gives you a sort of conceptual idea of how new technologies sometimes roll out. I've been in the AI world for 20 years. I've worked for the Big Seven. I've done campaign analytics, marketing analytics, many types of predictive analytics, fraud, underwriting, media. So I've seen many technologies. And if you look at the hype cycle here, you've got, of course, the innovation trigger. Back in the world of that when we had the hype cycle for the dot-com boom. Dot-com kicked off, and everybody thought they needed to be on it and build a website with absolutely minimal interactivity. We just had to have a website out there. We didn't even need to have a shopping cart. And, around 2002 or so, I believe it was, we had the peak of inflated expectations where everybody needed a website and billions of dollars were flowing into web companies, and then it all came crashing down because nobody was building any useful websites. Eventually, we came back up and we figured out where was all this useful. How was the web useful? So we can expect AI to follow a similar trajectory, really. We're seeing that. We're guessing that. The innovation trigger, being the release of ChatGPT, and ever since then we've seen expectations rising. 2026, I'm assuming we're going to hit the peak of inflated expectations, and we will then have to settle down with what is this tool realistically going to do for us. And I expect a lot of companies to crash. On this downward slope, a lot of times you have economic mayhem all around. So I'm not looking forward to it. However, I believe it's coming. And then I also believe we're going to figure out where AI is truly useful. And we will eventually reach the plateau of productivity. We'll discuss that later. So why do people mistake LLM output for truth? It's part of it's a mind trick, taking advantage of our own cognitive and emotional biases pertaining to how we feel when we engage in dialogue with another independent voice. It's almost like we've already passed the original dinosaur Turing test. We have a thing called theory of mind. It's triggered by language. Humans unconsciously infer beliefs, goals, and intentions to something that coherently communicates with them. Fluency substitutes for evidence, and no matter how many times you can hear that there's a disclaimer, you can tell people it's probabilistic. This machine doesn't think. It doesn't matter, because when they speak to it, it's processed subconsciously. You can explain to them, and that's processed consciously, but when they're using it, the anthropomorphism happens subconsciously. So this can lead us astray. We will follow plausible predictions like they're grounded truths. We'll assign authority where there's only probability. We mistake the simulation of reasoning for reasoning itself. So there's the hype machine and everything that the AI companies are telling you it can do. There's Michael Burry and Ed Zitron who are speaking about performance. Can this thing live up to its expectations? Is it too expensive? Will it return on investment? It's about financials and functionality and capabilities. I'm here to say one simple thing. A slot machine is not a calculator. AI is stochastic. That's what it is. And thus far, a lot of what I've said may sound like just another opinion. Even if it's based on research, I've thrown in some well-known psychology theories, and I have decades of experience. Nonetheless, let's just face some facts. AI is stochastic. It's not deterministic. Let's compare those two types of systems. A deterministic system executes rules, very specific rules, and it doesn't deviate. A stochastic system uses probabilities. In a deterministic system, the result is the answer. A calculator gives you a deterministic answer every single time. Same answer. If you're in a stochastic system, it's a result that sounds right. Its relationship to reality. Deterministic systems are causal in nature. We understand what causes something. When I push on the gas pedal, I expect acceleration. However, the relationship to reality for a stochastic system is only tied to pattern frequency. It just analyzes the patterns. Consistency. You give the same input to a deterministic system, you get the same output. Again, a calculator is a great example. If you type the same thing into ChatGPT on different days, you're probably going to get different answers. Failure mode. When a deterministic system fails, it breaks, and you have to go in and fix it. When a stochastic system fails, it will give you an answer. It'll just potentially be the wrong answer. We trust these to do. We trust these to suggest. Human is optional. We can automate these. We know that the rules are followed, and if they aren't, it's a break. Human role is required in a stochastic system. Everything has to be checked. Every single line of SQL, every little article it publishes, every little video it creates. What the hype claims? Nothing magical. It's just a calculator. Here, we pretend it's deterministic. It's being sold as though it's deterministic, and that is a moral failing, I believe. So AI will not take our jobs. LLMs can't even do a job right now. It can only do a task. There's an MIT study on that says that here's the tasks that AI can do, and they want to make it sound like it's ready to replace people, but it can only do tasks. We do jobs. We have to take a bunch of tasks and group them together, and then we have to validate them, and we have to take ownership for them. Let's consider SQL development. Writing SQL code is only a fraction of what a SQL developer does. There's zero evidence that an AI can accomplish the cognitively complex work involved with translating a business need into a well-integrated code and platforms, including these random conversations at the water cooler that help inform that. Whatever AI that could eventually is going to do our jobs, this is not it. So again, I'm determining this not based on what it does, but based on what it is, a stochastic system. Even if you could feed into an LLM all the details of your environment, like you've got the Guinness Book of World Record for the best written set of system documents, most thorough requirements documentation, precise and completely unambiguous technical specifications, an LLM is still stochastic, and it will still treat all that input probabilistically and take no ownership of resolving any possible ambiguity. So the plateau of productivity is a metaphor more than a statistical measurement. It's where we balance the tasks that we have AI handle, and we finally learn that it doesn't exist for purely deterministic tasks, no matter how it's marketed and sold. We use it for the cognitive assistance and enhancements that it's designed for. True productivity is achieved when we ask an LLM to only be what it is and not something else, not to try to be a square peg fitting into the round hole of deterministic software functions. So based on what it is, here's some questions. Ask yourself before you decide whether it can do something or not. Let's just take a look here. Ask yourself, is determinism required? And you can see the list of things here to describe more about what a deterministic system is based on. It operates on if, then, conditional logic, like SQL, calculus. A plausible answer represents a failure. You can trace the results. I mean, compare this to if you're going to choose to use an LLM, you ask yourself, is probabilistic okay? And there you see that's where an LLM will come in. It's pattern bound. What comes next usually? Is it good enough? We're not looking for truth, we're looking for the best possible selection among possibilities. So here's where I'm leaving this. Here's the main thing you need to ask yourself based on an LLM being stochastic. When you hear Sam Altman say ChatGPT is about to discover parallel universes, or you hear the CEO of Anthropic tell you, buy his product so you can fire everyone, keep in mind, they're lying. I'll admit, I share the dream, I share the optimism. I believe that my list of use cases here and what I've recommended is just a preliminary list. People will innovate and discover things I'm absolutely not thinking of. But I know that with these products, they will not involve the risk of deterministic outcomes. So Broadcast this information to the folks you know who are struggling to make decisions about AI. By not being seduced by the hype, there are some real use cases that can be exploited here. There's a lot of innovation waiting to be done, but keep in mind these very serious engineering constraints discussed here. I'm here to promote success. Even though I've expressed some skepticism, it has mainly been aimed at the claims about AI technology rather than the technology itself. What I wanted to do here was help you cut through the noise and take a simple and rational approach to implementing AI-driven systems using LLMs.